Hello there, YouTubers and people on social media and people out there who are enjoying these videos. Today's video is based on the question, is it important to be successful at school, to be successful in life? And it's a short video. I know people enjoyed my 20 business commandments that was on my YouTube channel. I've had over 20,000 people watch the video in the last week. So in the meantime, I've had a few questions sent across by email, and one of them came from a school teacher and wanted me to cover my own educational experiences and how pivotal or important was it, school education, to my success in life and how I made my money and how I did things in life. So I'm going to cover off this subject. This is my opinion. It's not, verbatim the word on should you be educated or not. There's nothing about college, by the way. I'm going to cover that in another video because I did go to college. I went to do a 4-year business degree and I lasted 2 days, but I will cover that in another video. This is basically about school before that, finishing school, whether you're going to get your O levels or A levels, or in my case in Ireland, we did the inter-certificate. So a little bit about me. I went to St. Mary's College in Dublin, great private school, a school my dad went to. I was very fortunate. I had parents who gave me a private education. Not that it's the be all and end all to go private or go public. For example, in America, a lot of the public schools are very good. So, and when I say a public school, that's a school you don't pay any fees for. But I was lucky, I was very fortunate. I went to a great school in Ireland, Dublin, up until the age of 15. And then at 15, my parents moved to Spain, and obviously then I continued my education in Spain. When I was in St. Mary's College, I wasn't a good student. I was good at rugby, I was good at sports. Was I good in the classroom? No. Was that an academic issue or an intelligent issue? No. I've always been a smart cookie. I've always had common sense, which for me is probably more important than anything in education. I always say to my kids, you can't give people common sense. And common sense is key to everything in life. But while I was at school at St. Mary's, I look back now, I pretty much failed a lot of my inter-certificate. I think I passed a few subjects, I failed most of them. The biggest thing I remember about that was the look of disappointment on my mother's face when I was 14 or 15 and I came home with the results. Everyone else, obviously all around Ireland, were celebrating their results. And I pretty much failed all my exams. And that was the first time it struck me. I'd never really cared in school. I was never big into studying. I was never big into school. Bit of a daydreamer. Not really a dosser, but more of a daydreamer. Looking back now, I wish I'd paid more attention. But something changed that day when I saw the look of disappointment on my mother's face. Because my mother's somebody I respect, immensely. I lost her years ago, but I still think about her all the time. And that was something that stuck with me. That look of disappointment. And it's something I never wanted to see again. And when we moved to Spain, I was 15, 16, and I went to the English International College in Marbella, which basically followed the English curriculum. So for me, I ended up going in, I think it was in January 2003 when I went there. And I had 18 months left of what was called A levels, and I'd never done it before. So this was all new to me, completely different from the Irish curriculum. Somebody who's not very academic. I'm in a new school. And I ended up doing 3 A levels in history, business studies, and English lit at the time. So again, not being an academic, I was never going to get straight A's, but I did enjoy doing my A levels. I did enjoy the teachers around me. The teachers changed a lot of things for me. It wasn't just a disappointment on my mother's face a year before or whatever when I'd failed those other exams. It was more to do with also I engaged with the teachers a lot more at this new school. They treated me more as an adult than say a student per se, and I got into it and I enjoyed it, and I ended up I think with 2 C's and a D, which for me was a massive achievement. I know nowadays looking at all the results it's A pluses and A's and everything else, it's the norm, but I finished school basically with 3 A levels, which for me was a massive achievement because I'm not a studier, I never was. And I look back now and I have a tinge of regret because I feel with my potential I could have done a hell of a lot better in school if I paid a lot more attention and if I'd actually put the work in and studied for my exams. I studied a little bit, but not as much as I should have been doing. I probably enjoyed going out a lot more. I enjoyed dating a lot more. All the things you probably shouldn't do when you're doing your exams, I did. But by some miracle, I got my 3 A levels. So I have 3 children now, and they ask me all the time, how important is schooling? How important is education? If I went back 12, 13 years ago when I was training salespeople and I was running a big sales business, one of the things I would always say is forget about, education, forget about schooling, life's more important. The school of life's more important than actual school itself. And as you can change your mind as you mature in life and as you become a father and as you have children. And I would now change that, and I would say, and I say it to my kids all the time, put everything in you can when you're in school. See where it takes you, okay? Some people are academic, some people aren't academic, but you always have to work hard. There's no excuse for not working hard. It doesn't matter whether you call them a brainy kid or a non-brainy kid. Give everything you've got while you're in school. Pay attention to your teachers. Pay attention to everything that's going on around you. If at the end you fail, you fall, you don't do well in your exams, you don't get what you want out of it, guess what? It's not over. All right? It's not the end. It's not the end of your journey. Too many children nowadays put too much pressure on themselves going into exams that it's the be all and end all to come out with top grades. What I'm trying to say to you is put everything you've got into it. If you fall short, if you reach for the stars and you don't quite get there and you end up with less results than you wanted and you were expecting A's and B's and you got C's and D's, that's not the end of the line for you. There's a lot more exciting stuff to come afterwards, and you're definitely going to get what I suppose people would call a second chance. I presume you can retake exams, even if it still doesn't go to plan and you're not an exam person and you still fail. Again, you can pick yourself up and you can go again. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And the reason the question has come up and everything else is I had a lovely email of John Hobbs. John Hobbs basically is the head teacher of Year 11 at Chilwell School. And he wanted me to send a good luck message to what he calls his T11s at his school who are taking their exams. And he wants me to give them a shout out and whatever else and discuss schooling. So I want to give out a big shout out to the Year 11s. They're called obviously the T11s at Chilwell in Nottingham, and to John Hobbs, their head teacher. He sounds like a phenomenal teacher, the kind of teacher I'd have loved to have had, who cares about his students. And good luck with your exams, good luck with finishing the year, and give it everything you've got. So he's asked me in here, what was the most inspirational moment person who thought you when you were at school? Look, I take inspiration from lots of people in my life. Big inspiration for me in my life growing up was my father. My father was a typical businessman, spent his day and night in a suit and tie. That was kind of my role model looking up to as I grew up. He was a successful business person. He had all the nice things in life. He did really well. I often get it thrown at me that I'm a rich kid and that's why I'm really successful in business. There couldn't be nothing more further from the truth. My father would even back me up on that. Where my father has done more for me in life than money is he's my best friend nowadays. But growing up, he was just a phenomenal father, a brilliant person to look up to, very inspirational, whether things were good or bad. I learned so many things from my dad. I'm going to discuss that in later videos about family and everything else. But again, if I'm looking to somebody who inspired me the most and the person who taught me the most outside of school would be my father. When it comes to inside of school, I had a business studies teacher and somebody who's actually running the school in Spain, and a guy called Les Kellen, I believe his name was. And he was your typical entrepreneur who ended up somehow taking over this school. But outside of the school, he ran lots of businesses. Again, he was somebody immediately as a 16, 17-year-old I looked up to. He was sharp. He was in a suit and tie every day. He was charismatic, the way he talked, the way he held himself, the way he treated people. He was somebody that when I went to school, I paid attention. And he taught business studies out of his office where he ran the main school from. And there was only 4 of us in the class. And we actually did the business studies A-level in a 2-year course in 1 year. And I think I was the only person in the class who actually passed the A-level and ended up with a C. But he was somebody I looked at and I thought all the things he's got and the way he holds himself, he was somebody I really looked up to. And he inspired me to get into the books, take it on, enjoy what I was doing. Because when you enjoy what you do, you often or not are more successful at what you're doing. So that was something I really took on and really grasped and got into as a non-academic. So that's somebody who definitely inspired me. John's also asked here, what would you change about your schooling if you had the chance? I guess what I change about my schooling, if we talk about schooling in Ireland, the problem was, even though it was a private school, there's probably 25 kids in a class. So I probably got lost. I was, a bit of a messer, enjoyed my sports, probably homework late, didn't study as much. I'd probably changed. When I went to Spain, it was only like the classes were like 6, 7 and 8 people in a class. So you got more attention off the teacher. And I guess it's very difficult in schools nowadays because of the greater numbers to really focus on people. So I got lost in the mix early on. But when I went to do my A-levels in Spain, I didn't get lost in the mix. There was a lot of interaction with the teachers. They could really see people who needed that extra bit of help. They knew how to motivate me, put a rocket and fire up me. So that's something I definitely look back and go, I'd change about maybe the school I was at before I went to Spain. What else would I change? I guess it's really important to engage with the students, and that comes down to the teachers. So I would always say, and this is something I don't know if this is controversial or not, I think teachers, people like that, particularly in the public sector and who put service and years into the industry, should be paid a hell of a lot more money, because you want the best teachers teaching your children. You want the best people teaching your children. So I would definitely, more money needs to go into the sector, whether it's private or public. And I think teachers need to be paid a hell of a lot more money, because you're going to get more quality. You're going to get a better quality of teacher. You're going to get people who are going to be the best in their industry. They're the kind of people you want teaching your kids, because it's like anything else in life. Successful business people, successful sports people, you know, the best, they always rise to the top. And that's the same, I suppose, in teaching. I would want more money put into teaching, to get better teachers, to help current teachers, to do more classes for teachers, so that they knew how to interact with children more, how to gauge their interest more, and how to inspire and motivate them more. So that's something definitely I'd want to see changed. What advice would you give to a young person struggling with pressure? That's a brilliant question from John. Pressure is a word that has so many ramifications. I see it all the time with my own kids. I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 girls and a boy. They're all very competitive. They do very well at school, but one of them I see always, the pressure tends to get to them at exam time, and maybe they don't quite get the A+ that their work merits, because come exam time, a certain percent of the exam goes towards the course. They put too much pressure on themselves and they overthink it. And I say it all the time. I had a conversation yesterday with my daughter about it, you know. Stop overthinking everything. All you can do when it comes to exams and it comes to coursework and finishing the school year and whatever else we'll do to it, is put everything you've got into the exam, the project, whatever it is you have to do to get your grades. Put everything you've got into it. The end result is, if you don't get what you want, you don't get the A, or pressure gets to you, or it all falls apart, whatever else, you can look back and go, I gave it everything I've got. I prepared as best I could. I sat the exam. I did my studying. I did my time. I didn't get the grade or the result I want, but you know what? I can't punish myself for not giving everything I've got to it. So too many kids put too much pressure on themselves. As long as you prepare, as long as you work hard, as long as you study, as long as you ask for help from the teachers around you, your parents and the people around you to help you prepare, that's as good as it gets. All right. If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't work, okay, you pick yourself up, you go again, and you have to realize that failing or not getting the grade you want isn't the end of the line. It isn't the end of the world, and it certainly doesn't define who you're going to be in the future. It's not going to mean you're not going to be successful or you're going to be a failure, because guess what, in life, when you finish school and you finish college, you're going to have successes, you're going to have failures. It's how you adapt to everything. So I would always say to any students in school, whether it's in school or in college, stop letting pressure define who you are. Okay, deal with pressure as it's meant to be dealt with. Okay, be yourself, work as hard as you can, put everything into it. Okay, take the pressure word out of it. Too many kids think it's the end of the world if they don't get the great grades, if they don't go to the best colleges, if they don't shine in a class. I didn't shine in any classes I did. I didn't get A-star grades. I didn't get a college degree, but I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm a successful person. I didn't let my shortcomings in school or college define me, and you can't let them define you either. So that's my advice to you. Take pressure out of it. Give it your best shot. Don't be lazy. Don't slack off, all right? And ask for help from everyone around you. That's all you can do when you're in school. And most importantly, be a good school person. Be a good, obviously, classmate. You know, don't be a bully. Don't be an idiot, all right? Don't get involved in drama, all right? Be the best person you can be. And be respectful to your teachers, your peers, your mentors. That's really, really important. They've been put in place for a reason. They're qualified to do the job, and too many people don't listen. I said it in my other video about having massive ears and obviously a small mouth. It's the same in school, it's the same in business. Sometimes it's more important to listen than to talk. The other thing I'd say is express yourself. I say this to my kids all the time. Talk to your teachers. Don't be the kid in the classroom who's shy, who doesn't want to answer, doesn't want to engage. Talk. Even if what you say is wrong or you answer something wrong, be brave, be courageous, put yourself out there. Okay? You're never going to know unless you put yourself out there. So they're all the things to do at school. I hope I've answered the question for you, John, and I hope the T11s go and kick ass like everyone else. School for me, I enjoyed it. It was a good period in my life. It's something I look back on now and go, you know, gee, I wish I'd worked a lot harder. I wish I'd gone out partying less. I wish I'd had less girlfriends. I wish I'd put my head in the books a little bit more, because even though I went on to be very successful in life, and I did that without great grades, I did it without loads of A's, I did it without a degree, There were certain times in my businesses, and I've had some good businesses, and I've had businesses that were successful and businesses that failed. But there are times I look back and go, now, you know what? Maybe if I'd done better in economics, maybe if I'd paid more attention in the business studies class, maybe if I'd done maths a little bit more, maybe there were things I could have changed in the businesses that weren't successful, the businesses that did fail. Maybe I could have turned them around. Maybe I could have done something differently. So each to their own. One of my partners at the moment in the football club I own has an MBA, is highly qualified, is a doctor, and I look at him and we're very, very different people, but we each have our own strengths and weaknesses. And I look at some of the ways he handles things and the things he does, and he's got that from having a solid education, going to good colleges, working his ass off, getting top degrees, and he's used some of those things to apply them in business differently than I would have, and has been successful in other ways. So there's always ways you can improve. Even now, sometimes I think, would it be interesting if I sat down and maybe did a degree from home, just to another string to the bow? And because you can always keep learning. And this is something I say to my kids all the time. Even at my age, at 43, no matter what my bank balance is, or how many cars or houses I have, or owning a football club, you can still learn. You're still getting educated all the time. And people used to, my dad used to always say this about me, and people say it about me all the time, is that I'm a good listener. I listen, I digest, I take it in. I might not take the advice of everyone that's given it, but I will take a little bit from everybody and do things my way. I will make decisions my way, but I will definitely always listen. I'll always take in what's given. It's free advice. You don't pay for advice most of the time. I'm giving you free advice right now, so if you're still tuning in, well done. If you're not, boo-hoo. So that's something for me I've done throughout my life, and I listen to people around me, particularly people I've seen who've done great things, who I respect. And there's a lot of people like that I've met throughout the years. So you can never stop being educated. You can never stop learning. And this is all about paying attention. So any kids out there watching this, or anyone who wants to show this, if you're a teacher and you want to show it to you, one of your grades and everything else, like I said, don't let your results define you. Don't let the pressure of exams, school, define who you are. And if you fail, all right, it's not the end of the line. All right, you're still going to have a great future. You're going to get back on the horse. You're going to give it your best shot. You're going to work harder the next time, and know that you've got to give it everything you've got, because there's no such thing as regrets in life for me. There's no point in having regrets. All right, and when you look back and you've blown an exam, all you can ask yourself the question is, did you do everything possible to get the best outcome and the best result? And if the answer is yes, you did everything you could, that's good enough for me, and that should be good enough for you. Don't let anyone tell you any differently, okay? Because life is all about, and you're going to find this as you get older and people who are back at college or in school, life is all about ups and downs. It's all about successes and failures. It's all about disappointments. But most importantly, from all of those things you have to get, it's all about learning from them. Because if you don't learn from them and take from every failure, every disappointment, every setback, then you're going to stand still. And the worst thing in life is to stand still. One of my biggest things in life is moving forward, keep moving forward. So it's something I've done, whether I've been in business, whether in my personal life, whether with my children, keep moving forward all the time. So this is just a short video. I'm going to wrap it up now in a second. For me, like I said to you, I have regret. I look back and I look at my school life and the things I could have done better. But I went to a good school. I went to a great school in Spain. My parents gave me the best opportunity. Could I have gone on and got top A's and top degrees for the money they spent? I should have. I probably let them down in that way, but then in other ways in life I made up for it, you know. So if I had a time machine to go back now, I would have said if I'd just given another 4 or 5 hours studying a week, if I paid a bit more attention, I probably would have got better grades. The one thing was that never bothered me was taking exams. When I did A-levels, when I did my intercert, and I sat in these big scary exam halls and everyone around me sweating and panicking, and you could smell the tension in the room because it meant so much to people. Maybe it's why I didn't take it, the pressure, it never got to me. I probably didn't take it as seriously as I should have, but I was always a pretty calm, cool, calm, collected figure when I went in and did exams. I went in, I sat down, I got on with it. I would say to anyone doing an exam, get in your bubble, sit down, no white noise, ignore everything around you, put your head down and do your best, okay? Certainly don't overthink it, don't overanalyze it, and the end result will be the end result. But know this, it's not the end of you, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter if everyone around you has got A's and you've got C's and D's and everything. It doesn't matter. I said to my daughter the other day, I went to school with a genius, an academic genius, a person who was getting A's in everything, advanced maths, you know, science, geography. Her whole life was about studying. That's all it was studying, studying, studying. And she won every award. She was, young entrepreneur of the year, got full A's in all her A levels, went to the best university. But years later, I saw she didn't do great things with her life, because I think the peak of her life was at school, and everything that came afterwards was never reaching those heights. And that can happen as well sometimes. So some kids, they look around them and they worry about what the person next to them is getting. It doesn't matter what they're getting. It doesn't matter what they do. All that matters is what you do. All that matters is how you apply yourself. All that matters is the work you put in. Okay? That's all that matters at the end of the day to you. So again, I'll leave it there. All I wanted to say was school, failing, succeeding, the end result is whether you're successful, whether you're a failure at school, it doesn't matter for the rest of your life. All right, what matters is what comes next. Okay, live in the moment, focus on what you can do. All right, go knock them dead in the exams. If you don't, hey, hit me up on email. I'm here all the time for any students or young people out there who are struggling. I've answered a few last week. I answered about 200 emails. It's free advice. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. And I'm doing it because I feel I can make a difference. I've gone and spoken at a few schools in and around Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and spoken to younger students, and I'm happy to do with college people as well. So again, I wish everyone the best. It's coming up to, obviously, I think exam season in the UK. It's April now, so I presume it's like May and June when all the exams are. And just remember, when it's all said and done, go and enjoy your summer, all right, and then get on with the next chapter in your life. Take care. Cheers.